Is Cesta Collective rethinking its association with Meghan Markle after a report from the Daily Mail revealed that, well, it seems like they're actually paying the African women who they have make aspects of their bags pennies on the dollar. Yes, some of these women are making below the international poverty line, and that's like a little more than $1. These women are hardly making anything, and yet Cesta Collective sells these bags for several $100. And this raises a whole slew of questions, including obviously the ethicability of Cesta Collective, because that's part of the reason why Meghan Markle allegedly invested in them, is that she thought they were an ethical company. That is why she is a dolphin investor. But obviously, that's not really the case. And it's not what Cesta Collective wants as well, because I'm sure they were thinking when they got invested from Meghan Markle, ooh, this is going to be great. But of course, associating with Meghan Markle means that you inherit the Meghan Markle miasma of toxicity. And because of that, people are more likely going to look into you. And as it turns out, the Daily Mail revealed something not quite so pretty. And this, of course, is pretty disastrous for Cesta Collective, because if they're paying these women a couple dollars essentially to make their bags, why are they selling them for several $100s? And if you're only paying these women a couple of dollars at the end of the day, is buying the bags even helpful to them? And it diminishes and undermines the entire so-called mission of Cesta Collective. And I'm sure they are, if they're not up yet, going to be in a bit of a panic over this latest report, which puts them in an incredibly negative light. And Meghan Markle is going to have a very bad morning when she wakes up in Montecito. So we're going to explore this article today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, hello, my name is Brittany. I provide compelling royal commentary. So if you guys want to hit that subscribe button, that would be absolutely awesome. We would love to have you back to this amazing channel. I did just upload a video for our members on the Qatari state visit, guys. I have more vlogs I'll be getting to you guys very soon. I'm super excited. They've been so fun to do. And I have this like new gimbal thing, and it's awesome. I get such cool things. So guys, I can't wait to share more. I'll share more some things on the main channel as well. So guys, I hope you are enjoying some of this trek through Europe. I got more pictures to share, so many different things. So guys, thank you so much again for all your support. So I did want to preface this video real quickly before I get into it by saying all of this is just my opinion. I'm reading and reacting and offering my analysis on what was provided in the Daily Mail article. So let's get back into the video, which is not what I was anticipating this Sunday. So this came out via the Daily Mail, specifically the Mail on Sunday. And there's a couple of things I just want to point out in the immediate. Number one is that the reason this whole article exists is because of Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle decided to sue the Daily Mail. And to be quite honest, they are enjoying, I think, sometimes trying to undermine her to the best of their ability, because they are ticked off, because they had to pay her probably not a ton of money, but they had to waste a whole heck of a lot of time and money fighting that court case. And so because of that, anytime she announces something, and again, she announced this via the New York Times, she could have been a completely silent partner, but no, she had to let the whole world know. And Daily Mail's like, okay, so they have this objective, which is to help women in Rwanda. Are they doing it? Let's find out. And of course, they found some pretty unsavory things for sure. As it says here in this title, revealed how the women making Meghan's 700-pound ethical handbags are paid as little as 10 pence per hour, as exposed in this bombshell investigation by the Mail on Sunday. And so it goes into interesting detail here about what is going on. And so let's just go into it a little bit. If you don't remember Cesta Collective, Meghan Markle has worn their bags right here, and she wears them. And she announced this in this New York Times piece. It said, she takes such great care in what she wears because she knows people want to go and buy it. Because essentially the whole pitch of her interview with the New York Times, where she called herself a dolphin investor, was basically like, well, I buy something, and because I buy something, other people will want to buy the same thing. Ergo, if I invest in that company, I will make more because they buy the products I wear. That's her angle. So there's not really any depth to her investing. It's just basically, well, I wear this and I'm popular and beautiful and everybody will want to buy what I have. So this is why I need to invest and sort of prop up Cesta Collective, because again, Nobody told her she had to go to the New York Times and tell them she invested. She could have been a completely silent investor and could have just worn the bags, hoping that her profile would increase sales and everything. But now her association with them might spell the end to this company. Seriously, if Cesta Collective goes under, they can entirely blame the investment of Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle loses money. They lose money. They might even kick her out as an investor because it's like, hey, you brought unnecessary scrutiny to our brand. And this has resulted in massive backlash. It has resulted in so many things that we never anticipated. And now we are screwed and down sales because of you. That's a huge thing. Guys, that's like so massive. So massive. That is the kiss of death in business. Like seriously. And it comes from the fact that Meghan Markle has such this toxicity more. She has such a toxic brand. People don't tend to like her. And because of that, when you have cases like this and people are wondering, hey, this company is claiming to be all that ethical. We know Meghan Markle is not all that ethical. So now we're curious if she's investing in it. What's the rub? What's the catch? And everybody is looking for their moment to pounce. That is, again, the situation Meghan has set up for herself. So this article is a little long. We'll try to gloss over some of it. But essentially, the investigation found that Cesta Collective, whose high-end designs sell for more than £700, pays some of the women who make them as little as 10 pence an hour. So these wealthy women are making a lot of money, probably several $100s, to be quite honest, or at least a couple hundred on the bag, and then paying the women who spend hours making them pennies. It's not a good look. It's a terrible, horrible thing, because the whole point of buying and, let's say, paying above market, you could say, for the products of Cesta Collective is because of helping women in Rwanda. But if you're not really helping women in Rwanda, then there goes the whole idea of paying a premium for this, because it's like, hey, I'm not actually helping anyone, so why should I be paying you? So it says weavers working from their cement or brick hut homes in isolated rural villages in Rwanda can earn as little as 82 pence for an 8-hour day, despite the company hailing them as talented female artisans who are the best in their class at their craft. The figure is less than half of the £1.70 a day that the World Bank considers as the extreme poverty line. Now, it goes into saying that some of the women, yes, they do appreciate the little bit that they get from Cesta Collective, and that they do have other sources of income. They were all like, well, they didn't even know how much these bags were selling for. And they're like, if they're selling for that much, why are you paying me so little? Because it looks like wealthy white women are taking advantage of Black African women. It's a like, for someone who was railed against racism for such a long time, this screams racism. It honestly does. It honestly does. So it says it boasts of fair and compensation practices, and says the earnings figures do not take into account the women's other sources of income. But I mean, the great thing would be for this situation is if it could be another source of income to such an extent that maybe they, like, if they have a bad year in a crop, like Cesta Collective helps alleviate some of the stress of having a bad crop. Because I've been to these remote regions of Africa. Like, this is tough life. This is very difficult. And anything these people can get is wonderful. It's amazing. So Meghan announced in August, because again, she had to tell us this. Nobody told her she had to tell us this. She decided to do this. With Cesta, I really started to understand how many women's lives were being impacted and uplifted through their work. That was incredibly important to me. So now, there's two ways you could read this. Number one, Meghan's lying, or number two, Cesta Collective was lying to her. There's not really any other way to look at it. Or they just figured, well, these women earn something. They earn an income from selling crops and stuff. So, it doesn't matter. Like, again, it's so tacky. It's like, well, it doesn't matter how much we pay them because they're going to earn what they can from selling crops in the market when they can earn so much more from this. Like, why not pay them $10 a bag? And some of it, they go down and say they have to buy their own supplies. And so it's like, how in the world are they buying their own supplies? You should be compensating them for anything they spend, including rent. They rent places to make these, which cuts into their profits. Cesta Collective really comes off here. Again, this is all my opinion, seeming like they don't care about any of these women. It just seems like they don't care. They're means to an end. They're means to look good so they can pay a premium for a product that only costs $100 to make, really. But they're justifying it by saying, oh, we're having Rwandan women weave part of this bag. And so you should pay more. Again, you should pay more just because. I mean, I want to say that they said so, and that's not right, but they said you should support us because this bag right here, it was woven by African women. So if you pay a premium, you're helping support a local African community. But what again, if that is a complete and total lie? They're not really doing that much, and that they could be doing more, and they're not, because it's more important to pad their own pockets than it is to help local African communities in Rwanda. So here is some of the women, the Daisy Graham Brown who wrote the story. She found this, she found them. They're weaving the bags for Cesta Collective right here on the floor of a building here. It looks like that could be dirt or cement. They're on a rough rug here. And if their products aren't perfect, they don't make any money. So after they spoke to several of Cesta's female weavers, the Mail on Sunday can reveal the workers were shocked at how much the bags sold for compared to what they earned. And they said they hope for a pay raise following the newspaper's investigation. And they should get a pay raise. If you're charging people, again, a premium, they're charging people a premium for bags that were made in part by African women so that they can justify an exorbitant price tag. They should be making more. The women have meager earnings deduced if a bag is deemed substandard. So they could work hours, potentially days on a bag. And if the work isn't up to par, they don't make anything. I think Cesta Collective, I mean, they shouldn't. Here's a trap. Here's the trap, guys, because I totally understand actually somewhat where Cesta Collective is coming from here, because what you don't want to incentivize is poor quality. So if you just keep paying people regardless of the quality, somebody was like, hey, I can still bring in crap quality and I can still make X amount of dollars. You don't want to really encourage that. But what you could do, let's say, is tell them, well, you need to do it again. And somehow say, we have paid for the materials you used. We have paid for something. Like there should be some sort of compensation here, and not just, well, you worked 8 days on it. It's not up to our perfect standards, so we can sell it to our wealthy clients. So you don't make anything. Like there should be some sort of situation, maybe half price or something. Like they should be able to gain something rather than just losing all of that, because it might have been a variety of factors. Some workers have to pay for the raw materials themselves and cover transportation costs to get it to their remote villages. Again, that should not be happening. Assess the collective. This is their product. If they're asking people to make it, they should be covering all expenses. So materials, goods, transportation, all those sorts of things. So yeah. And so it says they are not full-time employees assessed and are paid by the bag. So earnings drop if orders go down. Now, again, from a business perspective, this somewhat makes sense, but this is interesting too. I found this very intriguing, because that means that sometimes, they even go down in the article and says sometimes it's months between orders. And so that means, well, are the products not selling? Because Meghan Markle's one of my things when it comes to Meghan Markle and her so-called investment strategy is that it seems very poor. And part of it, I pointed out, is that with Cesta Collective, it's like, how many do they have on stock at a time? How many are they going through? And it sounds like at some point they might have backup stock and they're just sitting there for a long time. And so it's not like Meghan's moving that much, or that I don't think Cesta Collective is moving that much product, to be quite honest. So it says until September, Cesta's website had boasted the company was proud to pay 500 to 700% times the national average salary in Rwanda, a claim that was removed sometime after Meghan's investment was announced. And after this was queried by the Mail on Sunday, the company's lawyer said the change came as a reflection of their commitment to refining how they communicate. So AKA, they were misleading people. That's like the only way you can look at it. So let's bring it up here real quick, guys. So this is actually from the Wayback Machine. And so this is how this part of the website. So right now, I think About Us only has this year. So it says Cesta is a mission-based brand focused on meaningful supply chain with integrity. So again, if the Mail on Sunday case has revealed all these inconsistencies, then it really doesn't stand by any of this. Cesta Collective. We aim to have a positive social impact by promoting gender equality and economic empowerment through joyful, ethically made accessories. Do you really, though? Do you really? Or are you utilizing an underused resource, in this case, the labor of some African women, and then because they are a lower income and unable to, let's say, negotiate a business deal as well as you can, you're taking advantage of them. That's the way you could look at it. Again, I should say, again, all of this for all the lawyers out there is just my opinion. So here is where it says a purchase with a purpose. Because again, they're telling you to buy it because you are helping women in Rwanda. But if that is not true, then this whole company is kind of built on a lie in a way, or at least its public reputation is. It says Cesta bags are made by hand from start to finish. Each basket is handcrafted by locally sourced renewable sources by talented female artisans in Rwanda, Africa, whom we are proud to say pay 500 to 700 times the national average salary of Rwanda. And as it comes out throughout this piece, it seems like Cesta is working with another agency to kind of make the salary, but they're obviously not looking that closely either. So share some pictures of the women. You could say weaving. Weaving is an age-old tradition in Rwanda, a rite of passage passed down from one generation to the next. Talented women and beautiful work they create are the soul of our brand. Is it really, though? Is it really? Because I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure it is. It's like, did you teach them how to do this? I don't know. Cesta bags are made entirely from silica or raffia, dyed using only organic vegetables. Cecilia is an ideally renewable resource over its life cycle, absorbs more carbon dioxide than it produces, and sisal grows help to reduce soil erosion with their extensive root systems. Even once finished bags or baskets are 100% biodegradable. So it says the average Cesta artisan has 5+ dependents and is a primary breadwinner of her family. Her work allows for the family to purchase livestock, fund education, alleviate poverty in rural communities. It doesn't seem like any of these claims actually hold up to snuff. And so they have somebody they meet. She says she is a primary income provider for her family and stuff. But since becoming, let's say, friendly with Meghan Markle, things have changed on the Cesta Collective website. So here is the actual About Us page now on the Cesta Collective website. What do you see now? Big ol' nothing. Big ol' nothing. And if we look over here, they're still selling this bucket bag right here. $790, almost $800 for this bag. How much did it cost to make that? How much were the women in Rwanda paid for this bit down here that you're citing as the sole reason that you should purchase this product? Because when you look at a market like handbags, it's an overly saturated market. That's been another one of my complaints about Meghan Markle as an entrepreneur. She's always in an overly saturated market. So handbags are a massively saturated market. How are they, let's say, making themselves a bit different and standing out? By saying essentially that we are helping women in Africa. So our Cesta bags are hand woven by locally sourced renewable sources by talented female artisans in Rwanda, Africa. So that justifies right there, allegedly, the $790 price tag. But if the women are being taken advantage of, if they're not making that much, then it no longer justifies that price tag. Then I'm looking at that bag going, I might pay $100 for that. I'm not paying $790 for that because you're not living up to the demands of your brand and your own mission statement. You're not living up to your own mission statement. And that is, I can't emphasize to you enough, like when companies fail to live up to their mission statements, oh boy, is there pushback for that for sure. So guys, let's go ahead and get back here to the Daily Mail article. So it says here, the truth is that although the women we spoke to were proud of their craft and grateful for the work in a country with a high unemployment rate, they wished their earnings could rise. So they live in remote communities, use the income to supplement the work that they earn by working the land with their husband, growing bananas, beans, and maize. So guys, what this tells us again is that the Cesta Collective claim that their handbags, that using these local African women to make their handbags, that somehow that is their sole source of income is obviously not true. It's clearly not true. And so they have houses where they live in corrugated metal roofs and live in cramped Spartan conditions with large families. So they work in isolated farming communities. So they wouldn't know. Like, again, you're taking advantage of women who are in a vulnerable state, it seems like. So out of their own pockets, they pay for places to work, sitting so shoulder to shoulder on roughly woven mats, covered on a stone floor, weaving for Cesta. So the climate is difficult, rainy seasons can be punishing. And so it's hard for them. So let's say when it comes to Cesta Collective, like Cesta Collective says, or they say that sometimes the work is interrupted, like Cesta has too much product and they can't move it. And so they're not paying these women anymore. And then that might hit the same time as a rainy season and they can't really sell their crops either. So how much are they helping? I just don't know. And they have one weaver who is a survivor of the Rwandan genocide, told us, we are praying that maybe they can increase our wages this time, especially if our bags fetch good profits. And that is a strong thing. Their bags are fetching good profits, but they're not including these women in that profitability. It's just sad. It's just quite sad. So she said the gap between the price they sell for and what we get paid is very big, because what you get a sense of too here reading this is that Cesta Collective is preying off these women's naivete or ignorance when it comes to what their bags actually sell for. So they're telling these women, oh yeah, make these bags. And this is just a guess. I don't know this for sure, but they're making these bags and they're going, yeah, these are great. Thank you so much. We'll sell them for a great price. And they're thinking maybe $100 or something. I don't know why I keep going to 100, but I keep doing that. But they might be thinking, well, they maybe sell them for $100. And then they're hearing they sell them for upwards of $1,000. And like, I got $3 for $1,000 bag that I half helped make. What do you mean that you're only giving me pennies here? Now, there was actually an interesting scandal recently with Christian Dior and their book totes, because apparently the book totes are only made for like $50 and they sell them for $3,000. And that's obviously a huge, huge issue. But this is worse, because I will say, although I think Dior was called out for maybe abusing or utilizing a company that abuses some staff too. But I think what you have here is almost even worse, because I think maybe some of that staff for Dior were like located in Italy or something like that. These are women in Africa who are told, hey, we're going to help you be part of Cesta Collective and you can make money for your family. But they're not telling them how much the bags are selling for, because they know the women aren't going to look, or they're banking on them not looking. But now that the Daily Mail has told them, hey, they're selling for several hundred, if not over $1,000, these women are like, I'm not making this for $3 anymore. And guess what? That destroys their entire business. Now they have to pay them more. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how much this could potentially totally collapse Cesta Collective. Like, it's insane. It's insane. Now, I'm not hoping for that, because obviously other people are employed as well and stuff like that. But when you associate with Meghan Markle, you take on the Meghan Markle baggage. And Cesta Collective didn't need the investment. They weren't looking for investors. Meghan said, hey, I wear your bags and I'm hoping if I wear them, more people will buy them so I make more money. So let's get in this together. And now they're thinking, oh my gosh, this woman is going to maybe not help our brand, but kill our brand. Now, it's obviously on them as well for not doing what they should have done ethically. But at the same time, too, they probably weren't anticipating this. So there's Meghan with another Cesta Collective bag. So most of the women they talked to a certain extent, did acknowledge that the money from Cesta had improved their lives. But, the economy is tight these days. And it's not just that they paid them so little. Again, if the bags were selling for $200, maybe they'd be more like, oh yeah, the compensation makes sense. But the bag I'm looking at right here, again, let's go back to their shop or whatever, $790. Black zip card holder, $190, which probably wasn't made by Cesta. But like all the weaving stuff that was made by Cesta, the bag Meghan Markle was carrying, the crossbody, $750. Always curious, because I would like to review products. I was thinking of maybe at some point, wasn't really thinking so I take that back. But I was like, I could have potentially purchased a Cesta Collective bag to review it, but now I definitely won't. A big one that looks like it's entirely woven by the women, $890, $595, $760. Like, all these bags sell for so much, and they're not getting any of that, or hardly any of that. I mean, pennies. And there has to be a high margin, and I get that. That's what makes sort of businesses thrive, is the level of high margin. But it's one thing to have people in a factory somewhere, and you could say not paying them fair wage. There's another thing, to base your entire business strategy around being ethical with a community that is impoverished and then being revealed as not being truthful about it. It's just not good. So after taxes and costs, one of the women says she gets paid 4,300 Rwandan francs, which is £2 and $48. So $2.50 plus cents is how much she makes per bag. And then they're shipped off to Italy, finished with leather, and sell for £724. So let's do a little bit of math here. So that means although the women contributed, let's say, to 50% of the overall product when it comes to the bag in terms of actually crafting it, they make 0.3% of the sales price. 0.3%. 0.3. That is horrifically bad. So Cesta, which has probably been aware of this story, they were given a chance to respond, said it's not involved in the process of setting the fees. The women get paid and relies on all across Africa, the firm which oversees the works, to agree to the prices in conjunction with the weavers. So it's like they're kind of shoving off responsibility onto somebody else. But it's like, but you on your website were claiming all these things that you knew probably weren't true. Like, did you not investigate? So it makes them look particularly bad. And so it takes up to sometimes 3 days to create these bags. And so that's just so much. And a good month is she will make 34 pounds before taxes. Now, granted, that's probably a fair amount in the area they're from, but could they deserve to make more? Yeah. Like, how many bags did she make? And I just want to reemphasize, it's not just that they're making so little, because yeah, there's a discrepancy in income between Africa, United States, Europe, those sorts of things. But I think what's particularly egregious is that they weren't told how much the bags were being sold for. They were maybe being paid a deliberately lower price than what they should have been paid. They're making half the bag. The entire mission of Cesta Collective is to sell these bags and claim that they're helping local Rwandan communities. That again is pretty egregious. And they could work up to 8 hours a day on the bags. So one of them takes home about 9 pounds for a larger bag called the taco tote. And it takes her at least 3 days to make it. Now, I did see the taco tote up here. So she was paid $10. And the thing is, the entire thing is woven and it's sold for $890. So let me just show you guys this here, because I really want to emphasize like how much it seems like they're taking advantage of these poor women. So this is the taco tote. This is the taco tote. If I'm not mistaken, the only leather here are the handles. This entire thing is woven. So she's getting $8. She's getting like 0.1% of what they're selling this for. Like, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Like, wow. And if she was just doing, let's say, a little doodad or something on here, maybe you could justify 10 pounds, but she basically made the entire stinking bag and she's only getting 9 pounds and 22 cents while it's selling for $890. Yeah, so she's getting 1% essentially of this bag that they're selling, 1%. And she made over 50% of it. She basically made the bag and she's making a percent of it, 1%. That's just egregious. That's just really, really egregious. Yeah, so it's a fraction of 1%. But she said when it comes to it, there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to work. I feel like we should be earning slightly more. Maybe in the future we can earn more. But for now, I understand, because it's like they don't have a lot of leverage. And Cesta Collective could maybe justify this if their whole mission statement was, oh, we're helping impoverished African women. You're obviously not. You obviously don't provide them with like the support that they deserve, I don't think. So another woman who uses the money to supplement her income, again, it goes against the claim that there are the breadwinners of their families. They're clearly not. I can't say the money I get from the bag is bad, but increase would be much appreciated. And it goes in to talk about the women, again, the women who run Cesta Collective. One studied at an Ivy League university and lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in Trendy, Brooklyn with her husband, who works at Goldman Sachs. They have a golden doodle named Pepper, and her father was a Harvard Medical School professor. And then you have Ms. Ryder, who interned at Chanel, studied at School of Design in New York and Paris, and she enjoys skiing holidays and multiple trips to Rwanda. So she has to be talking to these women. So she's interacted with these women, and she's not telling them, particularly how much the bags that they're making are selling for. Again, they're having a woman make 100% of the bag, basically. Let's call 90% to be fair. 80, 90% of the bag, only paying her 1% of what they're selling it for. In other situations, they might be paying 10 to 20%. That's probably the truth. And so they are really, seems like, taking advantage of these women. So it has been hit by criticism before. It says it is inappropriate to use these women as a marketing tactic for your brand, especially when you are not full-time employees nor have any ownership of your brand. Yes. So these women should not be used cynically to make shopaholic Western women feel better for purchasing yet another handbag, which they don't need. That is what we call poverty porn. It's barely okay when charities do it. It's completely inappropriate when for-profit businesses do it. And I completely agree. I thought it was funny. None of the women of Cesta Collective, Meghan Markle, the great supporter of women of African descent, they have no clue who she is. And she's not involved in any part of the management of the company, but she very publicly invested in them. So it's sort of on her. So again, going over some of I hate how sometimes the Mail goes over some of the same information again. So they pay for certain parts of the product, and they say for Cesta, the bags must be perfect, which I understand from a business perspective, I do, but they should not be, in my opinion, having women waste their time and not giving them something. So Cesta said only 1% of the bags are rejected for quality reasons, and the wages depend on orders. Some months we may get no orders. I find that totally revealing, because that was my thought, is that Cesta is just not making enough. So it says, according to a Cesta spokesperson, Cesta Collective was founded to create consistent, dignified employment opportunities for talented female artisans in developing regions. Since inception, we have upheld our mission. Not really, and remain committed to growing our business and the livelihoods of those who help bring handbags to life. Cesta has acted in good faith and understanding with our partnership all across Africa, which operates on the ground in Rwanda. Recent allegations are an attempt to discredit that work with speculative information that has been unethically manipulated. We remain committed to ensuring success is shared equitably by everyone involved. And then AAA statement, so all Africa something, all across Africa, sent to the Mail on Sunday via Cesta, says the weavers set their own wages, and AAA is deeply committed to empowering women, ensuring fairness, and transforming lives through dignified work. Well, they set their own wages when you probably are not telling them how much the bags are going for. There's just such an underhanded, manipulative tactic here. It's just hard to, you could say, underestimate. But this reflects badly on Meghan Markle, and it reflects badly on her, not only from her perspective of that she may be engaged in something you could call unethical, but overall that she, because of her involvement in this company, they are opening themselves up to greater scrutiny, which results in somebody going in and unveiling aspects of their business that they would rather keep secret, or rather not be as publicly known. Because I would bet you, most likely, they preyed on these women not knowing how much the bags were going for, setting their own wages, which were low, because in their mind, that's pretty good. But you should be, if you're really dedicated, if you didn't say, if you weren't going on and on about how dedicated you were to helping people, you could get away with this. When you can't get away with it is when you're telling people all the time how ethical you are and how much you want to support these women. But yet you also, in order to save yourselves money, in order to make yourselves more money, are, maybe you could argue, and this is just my opinion, deliberately concealing the success of the brand from these women so that you can continue to pay them exceedingly low prices so that you can keep your margins incredibly high to enrich yourselves while also claiming you are helping other people. That is the problem with Cesta Collective. And it reflects on Meghan too. She is so much like this as well. She claims to be all ethical, wanting to support people. But when push comes to shove, in many instances, she's the biggest bully. She's been accused of bullying multiple times by multiple different people, different continents. So there's a trail now. And now you have this story, which again is not a good look for Meghan and her future as an entrepreneur, because I will guarantee you right now, anybody interested in signing with her will now think twice. will now think twice about bringing her on board, because it's like, we don't need your money because we don't need the trouble that follows you. Trouble follows her because Meghan invited it and now she can't shut it off. And this is a reflection of that. This is totally a reflection of her suing the Daily Mail. Totally a reflection of that. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, for all those legal hawks out there, this is just my opinion, though I did read the article. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Bye.